Hey everybody, Professor Stines here, and today I'm just going to kind of walk through making a menu based off of an XML file. So a couple things are different about this week is one that I'm running on localhost machine, which I actually kind of have as a local IIS install. So what it allows me to do is I can kind of run what we're going to run this week and it not cause security problems in Chrome, like some of the other things that we do. For example, if I were to run this page directly in Chrome, I'd get this error message down at the bottom about cross-origin requests not being supported. However, if I did run it in Firefox, it would work. Firefox is a little bit more lax about those things, so left-hand menu will work. But it'll also work in Chrome if run through a web server that kind of establishes where it's at, and for me, that's localhost right now. So there's a video on my YouTube called Web Development Environments. If you're interested in kind of working with IIS on your own, you can kind of look at that and maybe get started. But essentially, that's kind of what it looks like now with the JavaScript file. So I'm just going to kind of disable this guy and rename it old, and start a new one fresh. I'm just kind of rewrite what's in this file that makes it work. It's site.js. Let's see. Cool. One of the new features in Notepad++ is this folder as workspace deal, which is pretty neat. So I can kind of pull that up. I already have it here. Kind of see my site old file. So I can kind of just open up my files as needed from the left-hand side. It's kind of neat. Anyway, let's start off with the window on load statement. Go ahead and get the page up and spinning, and let's get a hello world going. Cool. So I probably won't get a left-hand menu this time, just getting the hello world statement. The left-hand menu is actually this web.xml file. If we're kind of reading about in IT web tutorials about what XML files are, this is one that's got a website tag as its root, and then it's got a home tag to kind of illustrate the home page, and then it has page tags, and pages can have pages about themselves. So this is the about page of a website. This is the pages inside of the about page. You can kind of see most of the time they follow a folder structure. So like HTML chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. This sitemap is from the IT Web Tutorials website, the new one that I've been working on, not the old one. And I just published another video to YouTube that's pretty cool about it. You can do all kinds of things with a sitemap file. Now this one's a .NET sitemap file. So got some extra abilities in here. Menu's kind of smart, follows itself around. Things are kind of getting written out automatically and populated. Even the little drop-down lists up here kind of change and flip between books. I think once we get it kind of going really well, it's gonna look really nice and hopefully work really well. Just got to get some content over there. I'm about up to chapters 1 and 2. Structuring page content, for example, is kind of done. So this is kind of the style and design I've been going with. Still a long ways to go. Really long ways to go. And if you're interested in typing out pages for it, let me know. Okay, so anyway, enough about that. Let's get right into the code and take this init statement to the next level. So we're going to kind of read through the nested structure here. Tags are nested inside of tags, just like in HTML. And so we can kind of group them and make queries into them, and retrieve stuff out of them. And that's where a init statement comes in. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to kind of define a variable for the response. What I mean by that is that we're going to be making a request back to the browser, or back to the resource. and this request, we're going to want to store it. So that's kind of going to be our variable, our object, and what we're going to say, we're going to set a handler on it, xHTTP, and the handler is going to be on ready state change. So essentially what's going to happen when we we create the object, and then we say when the ready state is going to change, let's execute a function. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Let's go ahead and type this into. I'm kind of getting this from an example from W3 Schools to kind of get us started, although we're going to take it a little bit deeper, kind of in the XML tutorials, JavaScript. I'm pretty sure it's kind of down here at the bottom. If it's not in here, it's going to be in XML Http Request. Essentially what we're doing, typing this part out. So taking the request, when the state of it changes, we're going to check the state, and if it's a 4, which is good, and a status of 200, which is good, then we're good to go, and that's where we start kicking off. It doesn't actually execute though until we get down here, so we're going to be opening up a file and then sending the response. And so this is the handler. This one is sending the response to the handler for the and we're checking the status. That's essentially what we need to type out. In fact, I could probably just kind of copy it over. Don't usually suggest that. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, see, messed my formatting all up. I should have known better. And that bracket goes there. I don't really think you need that one, but sure, okay. Opening the file name, and this one's going to be web.xml, right there. And the function we're going to call is we're going to call a not load process request or something like that. I'm sure it'll give us a nice example down here. I guess it's just fully explaining what's going on up at the top. There's other ways to do it as well. Let's see, I'll just write our own. So we're going to say my func, that's our function, and we're passing this xHTTP thing to it. So we need to kind of come up here and define a function called myfunc. And we're going to call it, I can call it anything, but we're just going to call it XML. Essentially that's what it's going to be. And we're going to say the document that comes from that. So we're looking for the response of XML. That's going to give us a document. Let's also define ourselves a string of HTML. We'll kind of start it as a blank string for right now. Let's find the root node. And what I mean by that is if we're looking at the XML file, our home page would probably be our root node. So let's try to find that guy and see what we can do with it. That's going to be var, I'll call him my root, and he's going to be equal to this XML document, get elements. We've been using a lot of get element by ID, but this time I'm using get elements by tag name, and I'm looking for that home tag. And technically elements is going to be an array, so really we know there's going to be 1, and we'll just say 0. So the first item in that array, there's only going to be 1 there. Let's do an alert statement and see what's up with that. So it'd be like my root. Let's see what we get back when we load up the page. I've got an object of element type. So we did get something good. There's some different properties that we could look at it. We could try to use the get attribute method to see if we can find the title tag. That's one of the attributes of each page, is there's a title tag, and this one here would be web tutorials. So let's see if we can get something back from that. Okay, web development tutorials, so that's good. That means we're reading the XML file, we're getting something out of it. Works out pretty well. Let's see, let's define in my HTML, I have a div id equals output, so let's find that guy, call him my outs, element by id of output, and let's set that to our string of HTML. And instead of alerting this guy, let's plus equals it. Should get kind of about the same thing, except it should be written out into the page, unless I didn't do something right. Unexpected token on line 8. Probably got an extra. Yep, got an extra parenthesis. Let's see. This time we got a printout to the page, which is good. It's good. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. So if my root is kind of the element that contains, it's kind of this guy. What I'm going to want to find is maybe all of his child nodes. And so these would be his child nodes. Page 1, this one here. Well, technically they're all child nodes of the home page, but this one is kind of like a root 1. This one's kind of like a root 2 or something like that, like 3 levels down, 2 levels down. So we're going to call child nodes and see what we get back. So to do that, let's start with a for loop. Let's put a break tag on the end here too. And that would be for I equals 0, I less than my roots, child nodes dot length. And essentially, we're going to look through all of the child nodes and the dot length, because we're less than I, should be the last one. We shouldn't get an out of index error. And we want to increment every time we jump through there. And let's add to our string plus equals a break tag on the end. But then let's add, I'll tell you what, let's store var, this will be var inode is equal to my roots child nodes sub I. Okay, and then this would be inode dot get attribute title. Alright, let's take it for a drive, see what we get. Nothing. Inode get attribute is not a function. Okay, I know why. Let's look at node types. So should get something back there. What node types is node types is kind of showing us the different types of elements, what they are. And so this one is a type of 3, this one's a type of 8. And it's kind of, I know that doesn't really seem like a whole lot. There's a list out here that will tell you what the different ones are. Probably better off just doing a search for it. Let's see. Node type JS. Well, essentially that's what these are saying. So the first one is a 3, that's a text. The second one is an 8, and that one would be a comment, and that's kind of why it's not working quite the way it should. So there's also node name. That might actually be a little bit easier to use. Node name might actually give us a little better understanding what they're doing. So this one's text, this one's comment, this one's text, this one's page. If I'm kind of looking at the XML, it's kind of picking up the comments, and it's probably part of the problem. And it's also kind of picking up the container a little bit. So we kind of really only want to get these pages. That's really kind of all we want to get. Let's see, let's look back at our JavaScript. I could try to get elements by name like we did before and look for page. Let's see what our list gives us here after that. I didn't get anything. Because I guess, yeah, text don't work. Well, just gonna have to do it. I kind of really thought there'd be a better way, but I guess not. So if inode is equal to a 1 type, again, we have to kind of look at, let's take that line out for just a second. Go back to node type. Let's add some spacing here. Let's just do it again. Inode.node name. And we can kind of see them side by side. I say type 1s because type 1s are pages. Kind of looking at the node types here too. These are actually the elements. It's kind of the ones we want. We don't really want the other ones. So, dun 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 dun. So we're going to say if inode dot node type is equal to 1, then we're good. And then we want to do that statement. So let's take a look at it this time. Should work. Should get all pages. All pages. There's only 5 of them technically in the root. Let's take a look and see which ones they are. Take this out and look at the get attribute of title. It wouldn't work the first time. It's going to work this time. And that's the about page, the HTML page, JavaScript, XML, and PHP ones. Kind of reading through the first level of the document. Kind of started as a blank string, just kind of putting tags in there, but let's kind of work this guy to use a little bit of HTML. Let's make him a list. It's an opening and closing UL tag. And let's just take the root off of it for right now. And essentially, I kind of want to open a tag. One of the kind of neat things about, let's make it like it's going to be a real thing. It's going to be like a real hyperlink almost. We could just kind of add the get attribute for URL. Kind of make a list of them at some point. So let's take a look. A whole bunch of zeros. Did not like that, did it? Oh. Getting my languages confused. There we go. Should be a little bit better. So we got 5. Let's see if we can take it deeper. We can always go one deeper. I'm going to kind of pull off over here to the left and say function get link. and passing in a node. And what I'm going to be returning is pretty much this statement. This will give us a nice one place to do it all here. So let's put that, let's replace that with get link of inode. Should still work about the same. Inode not defined. A node. That should work a little better. Alright, so we're back to where we were. Benefit is that we're going to travel down a little bit, and it'll be a little bit easier to kind of put them all in one place. In HTML5, the closing li tag is not required, so I'm actually not including it here, kind of on purpose, because the start of a new li or the closing of a ul is kind of what ends and marks the list, as long as there's content. This will be kind of starting the new block. So purposely not putting a closing li tag on the end. But let's see, so we've made it through one set of nodes, and we're kind of inside the for loop for those, and only the ones that we like. Oop. So my next question is, after I've added my link, is it time to add a new one on the same page, or is it time to look a level down? And if your answer is to look a level down, go down the rabbit hole again. That would be to first kind of determine if inode, which is the one we're kind of in right now, if inode.childNodes.length, what that kind of says is if there are child nodes underneath this guy, then we should be good to go. And if they are, let's do that thing where we add, I'm mixing languages again, a ul tag, and then we're going to want to kind of put a closing, one too many L's. We'll want to put a closing ul tag as well. Mixing languages, I'm missing semicolons and everything. Let's see, I think I'm good. Alright, so if child nodes has length, we're going to want to kind of stick a new ul tag inside, and then build out a for loop, and we'll call this one j equals 0 for j less than for j less than inode.childNodes.length. So if we get that far, let's define a new variable. Let's call this one the jnode, and this one's going to be equal to inode.childNodes sub j. Kind of the same deal as we're doing up here. We're kind of almost starting back at this line. And then kind of the same deal if jnode.nodeType is triple equal to 1. That means it's one of the tags we're interested in, not one of the comments or something else. Then we're going to want to kind of add into the string again, strhtm. Keep using that ampersand. I want to write in VB. And the string we're going to kind of add to using the function we wrote below, which is get link and passing in jnode. Alright, so let's run it and see what it looks like. And totally broke it. Line 16. Probably don't have J++. Not a valid for loop. Let's see. I think that's going to do it. Alright, so kind of inspect the element here. And we got an outer UL tag, kind of contains everything. And then we have an LI tag for each book section, JavaScript section. I can kind of open it up, and there's kind of the click for that guy, but then a nested UL inside. LI is inside of there. A tags. It looks pretty good. Let's see, technically our XML file is 3 levels deep, so we haven't actually gone all the way down yet. There's the serving pages. We're just kind of only looking at the chapters. So could go another level down. Look in the JavaScript. And kind of how we started it with the if statement here, we'd have to kind of go with the if statement after this one as well. And say that if, this time if JNode dot node type, or that's not what we want. If JNode dot child nodes dot length, if he has any child nodes, then we're going to want to include those in our list. And that means we also need to put a new UL tag. I'm still trying to use that ampersand with VB. UL tag. And kind of a closing UL tag. And then for each of those, yeah, that's about where we're at. For each for k equals 0, k less than j node, k less than j node dot child nodes dot length, k plus plus, and check for if knode dot node type is triple equal to 1. Then we kind of want to add in the last guys. That's str htm plus equals. Didn't do it that time, huh? And call to our function below, get link, passing in knode. It's kind of crazy, right? Now let's run it and see what happens, and talk about it a little bit more. Knode is not defined. Oh, because I didn't. Yeah. For knode is equal to jnode dot child nodes sub k. Yeah. Let's check it. That's better. So now we have 3 nested lists, all kind of automatic and built. Analyze. Yeah, chapter 1. That's chapter 1 folder. There's an UL inside of it, all the LIs for each thing. So in the previous example, this is actually site old file. Has a lot more these styles on it to kind of make it work. I'm just going to kind of copy it. These blocks. I don't think I had to add some ULs there, at least one on the second level. So if I wanted to look kind of the same, I had to add the classes to the CSS that we're using. And those would be on the, I guess it's not going to be that easy to do now, because I put it all in one file. Well, let's see what it looks like. Before, when I had them, this is going to get weird. I say that, and then I'm thoroughly disappointed. Because I took the whole tag. There we go. Right. this is going to get weird. It's kind of weird. It's not the weird I was going for. There might still be some hope in fixing it. W3UL, let's throw one on there. And maybe here too. W3UL. Adding some formatting onto our links. Maybe not on those. Let's see what we come up with. Still weird. Just take the class off completely. At least the ones on the A tag. Jeez, that was some rough stuff. Yeah, it looks a little better. It's not too bad. We could still write our own styles. So that's kind of XML in a nutshell, and that's kind of how to use JavaScript to write XML in a nutshell. This complex craziness could probably be better solved using recursion. If you kind of look at it, you can hopefully kind of see the recursion pattern in here. And so you might want to kind of define a string and have a function that calls itself if it finds nodes. And that would be kind of something similar to process kids or something like that. I don't know, something weird. But this could be much better solved using recursion. Probably be a lot less complex, and we're only going 3 levels deep here. With recursion, you could probably go a lot further, as much as the machine could take. So this is probably not a great solution. It's probably a working solution. I can't imagine making a left-hand menu for a website like this that goes much further. 3 levels is about the most you would see on a website, I would take, but a recursion pattern could work a lot better to kind of process through those things. Anyway, hope it was helpful, kind of insightful, and hope you come out and kind of experiment with it. I think in discussions I'm going to throw this file up, the web XML file. It's just basically a giant XML. To be honest, well, yeah, okay. We'll see. I'll try to throw it up somewhere. Discussions or Dropbox or somewhere. A good one that might, actually a better one that might be, well, I don't have it out there. Gosh. Well, I do. Did I? I'm so torn. Let's see. IT Web Tutorials .nga.edu/web.xml. I think I deleted it. Yeah, I didn't like that. Well, if you really want to play with the XML file, you could just make one really easy. Some lorem ipsum text or something like that. You can kind of define it however you want to. I was pulling URL, pulling title, pulling specific pages, or not even really pulling pages. The only one I had to refer to generally. Just kind of checking for real elements and then processing them. And again, there's a lot of different ways to do XML. I'm sure you could spend a lot of time out here kind of saying lots of different ways that kind of accomplish the same thing. You can use plain text files too, that's fine. So, hope it was helpful. If you got any questions, post in your class's discussion. Have a good one. Bye.